Hi again, this is Crafternoon with Christina. Today we're going to be making this cute little tote bag. It's totally reversible, so you can pick two fabrics that you really like. And then you can see which fabric you're more into and use that side as the outside. So I'm going to make my bag out of these two fabrics. And they are, when you're open them all the way up, the dimensions are 13.5 inches in length and 22 inches in width for both of them. The first thing I'm going to do is put them right sides together and pin one long edge and always remember to put your pins perpendicular to the direction that you're going to be sewing. Also, you want to make sure the heads of the pins are pointing out. So I'm pinning the long edge and then the short edge, which will be the bottom. And I'm also making sure that my pattern that I'm using, the fabric pattern, that the top of the bag is going to be the top of the fabric as well. I don't want an upside down image for the top of my bag. So again, right sides together. You're just doing this with both pieces. Slide some pins in there. Usually when I pin, I like to have about a hand width apart. But I would say pin to whatever is your comfort level. Some people like to pin a lot and some people don't like to pin at all. Now that we have our bag pieces pinned, we're gonna sew where we've pinned at 3/8 of an inch on this one long edge and then this one short edge. So basically the side of the bag and the bottom of the bag. And use a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So to pivot at this corner, you're gonna eyeball about 3/8 of an inch from the edge, and you're gonna drop your needle, lift your presser foot, spin your fabric towards you. You're gonna check and make sure that that seam allowance is around 3/8, which that's not exact, but I'm okay with that. I'm gonna lower my presser foot and finish my seam. You don't have to backstitch when you pivot. So there's one bag piece sewn, the side seam and the bottom seam. I'm going to do the same thing on my other piece. Once you have your bag pieces sewn, you're going to flip one of them right side out. And poke your corners out. And then you need to decide where you want your straps to be. I got my webbing and I cut it in half, so I have 1/2 yard for each strap. And I want my straps to be about 1.5 inches from the side. So I'm gonna slide my seam gauge to 1.5 inches and place it on the side of my bag, and I'm gonna make a little chalk mark right there so I know that that's where the edge of my strap needs to go. Same thing on the other side. And then I'll flip my bag over and do the same thing on this side so my straps will match. So that's about 1.5 inches from the edge. And I'm gonna take one of my straps, and this is gonna seem really weird, but this is how you really do sew straps in. People always think that this is crazy, but bags are a little weird. So you're gonna take your strap piece and you're going to make like a U shape. And then you're going to pin the end of your strap to the raw edge of your bag. So I'm just doing one layer. I'm gonna put some pins in like this. And I know this seems like it's going the wrong direction, but really truly it works, and I'll show you that. So you're gonna pin it so that it's making this U shape, but when you sew it to the other bag piece, it's gonna flip up like this with the edge folded under. So that's why you pin it like that. So I'm gonna do it on that side, and I'm gonna flip it over and do this same U shape with my raw edges lined up on the other side. And you only have to do this to one bag piece because the straps will get sandwiched in between the two bag pieces. So it doesn't really matter which fabric you use. You're just sewing this onto one fabric for now. So after you get your straps pinned on, you're going to sew them on. Again, at about 3/8 of an inch. And sometimes I just get lazy and just keep sewing all the way across. But you could sew them in individually if you wanted to. Oops. And now your straps are attached. The next step that we're gonna do once your straps are attached is what we like to call inside-out bag sandwich. So you're gonna leave this piece with your straps attached right side out, and then your other piece, your bag piece, you're gonna have it inside out, and you're gonna put your right side out piece inside your inside out piece. And this seems really weird too, I know. The whole reason for this is so that you have the right sides of your fabric together with your straps sandwiched in between. So I like to first line up my seams, and I'm gonna pin this together all the way around the top. Just make sure I'm sliding my raw edges together so that they're as close as they can be. Now before I sew these together, I want to make sure that I'm going to leave an opening so I can turn everything right side out. So I'm going to go, I can feel that my straps are right here, and I'm going to put an X. I like to just make an X with my pins so I remember where to start and where to stop. And I'm going to leave between my X pins open. So when I get ready to sew, I'm going to start at my first X pin. And I'm going to do a seam allowance that is about 1/2 inch on here because I sewed my straps on with 3/8 and I want to make sure that I'm covering up this stitch line. So I want this seam to go just a skosh below that. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to back stitch when I begin and when I end too, because when I pull this bag through that opening, I don't want my stitches to pop. So once that seam is sewn and you have your opening, now you're going to pull your bag pieces through that opening. It's kind of nice if you can get some of your strap pieces out, because that seems a little bulky. You just have to kind of work it through that opening like this. And get all of the pieces turned right side out. Like that. Now I'm going to tuck one bag piece inside the other bag piece. And shake that down inside there. Okay, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to iron this top edge of your bag. So it helps if you could put it on the end of the ironing board like that. And you're going to iron this seam down. And you're just going to spin it around and then try to get this to be a nice crisp edge. When you get to the part that you left open to turn the bag right side out, just make sure that you pull it and so that those edges kind of fold in together like that. And then make sure that gets nice and crisply ironed down as well. All right, the next thing we're going to do is sew it shut and it'll be done. So I swapped my thread color out because I want this stitch, which is going to be shown, I want this to be orange, but I still wanted the other side to have the pink. So I swapped out my big spool to orange, but I left my bobbin as pink. So, but use whatever color you like, but just know that this thread is going to show. So I'm going to put my bag underneath the presser foot, and I'm going to be stitching this at about 1/4 of an inch. I also like to go with kind of a fancier stitch just because you can at this point. So I'm just going to go to a zigzag, but you can use whatever fancy stitch or just a straight stitch, whatever you like. You also want to make sure that you start at a seam when you're doing this, just because if things get messy at all, it's a little better to have that at the seam than it would be in the middle of your bag. You're just going to trim your threads. And your bag is all done. How cute, huh?